Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Just Another Kill Team podcast, connecting kill team communities across the globe. If you're passionate about the tactical skirmish game that brings together strategy, lore, and creativity, you are in the right place. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay updated with our latest episodes. If you want to support the show, check out our Patreon. Your support means a lot to us. Follow us by using the social media links in the podcast description for all the latest news, and be sure to leave a review to let us know what you think. Thanks for tuning in. Here's today's episode.
All right, we're here with Matt from New Jersey, one of my OG Kill Team friends from the beginning of the edition, coming back, being one of the tournament organizers for events coming up this summer, right?
Yep. Thank you for having me.
What have you been playing? Back in the day, you were a Corsair Voids Guard player, and they're better than ever, but I suspect you're not playing them. And I guess you were a Grey Knights fan back in the day, but they're not in the game anymore.
Still forever waiting for a Grey Knights kill team. Yes, it's painful. I started off this edition playing Corsairs a little bit. I actually did not like the way they felt in their current iteration. Their abilities are great. They have some great stuff, but they just didn't feel right to me, so it's been Phobos nonstop.
Yes.
Man, they just have everything I want. I mean, they're flexible. 12 wounds can be rough, right? But they have so many tools. They're so fun. Even though I feel like you can get lost in the decision making with what they can all do, I find I play games very fast with them. So it's just kind of fun. Bang, bang, go at it. Lots of double shoot, scoot around. Making people feel bad, putting Reavers up in the top floor of Vulcus, So, good times.
Swooping down.
Phobos have been one of the best Marine teams, I think, this edition, with a lot of flexibility, and Jason has been shouting from the tops of the second floor of Vulcus strongholds how good they are.
Yeah, they are very fun, no doubt. I don't think I've played anything else yet. I have Kasrkin queued up next because I want to see how that goes. But
that's exactly what I've been doing too.
Jason has been playing them a little bit too.
Kasrkin, really?
Yep.
All right. Yep. Well, hey, we'll see how it goes. Any wins under your belt with them so far? Any tips?
They are not great, but there's elements that are kind of like Phobos. If you essentially position the recon guy kind of like in the mid board somewhere safe, where he's scanning a lot of stuff and pummel everyone from around the edges. And then I arranged Kasrkin into Squad A and Squad B with 4 guys each. And then I've got the comms that I set up to overlook the whole battlefield, and the plasma gun to just sneak around and smoke people from crazy angles. Squad A is all my short range guys and the Auspex. So it's the leader with the plasma pistol, the demolition guy with the las pistol and a bomb, the flamer or the melta, depending on if it's hordes or elites, and then the Auspex. And then Squad B is all the long range stuff, so it'll be the medic, grenade launcher, a trooper, and another trooper or whatever. And
are you taking the marksman or the hot shot volley?
Hot shot volley every time.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought too. Yeah. So, man, 4
Kasrkin definitely need to stay mobile, because if you get locked up in position, you've only got the 10 guys and 8 wounds, so getting tripped up in a weird position where a model can't switch gears is probably pretty rough.
The first time I'm ever going to play an actual 2 APL team, so yeah, wish me luck.
Well, they kind of rhyme as a 3 APL team. You hand out the 2 APL to 2 separate guys. They still kind of do their mini Marine thing.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I've also found that you don't need the 3 APL that often. So plenty of times my comms guy is just joining the firefight. That's why I like to stage the comms guy somewhere where he can see most of the field, so that if there comes a time I just need 1 extra shot, he'll hand out 1 comms and shoot someone, and that's pretty common. And if your threat saturation is everywhere, this is another one where it's you can stage for a turning point or whatever, and everyone pops off at the same time, and you want to hit everyone at the same time, and the Auspex makes people legal targets and find targets even when they're obscured and all that crazy stuff, and just the entire team goes engage on turn 2 and just go crazy. Comms and everyone.
Fair enough. So they can sound pretty punishing if you do it right. Okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing, is most of your ploys are actually like not as efficient as a command point reroll. So just don't spend on anything except for like reposition, but your recon trooper can do that for free. And then like it's maybe better to just save for CP rerolls for important shots because like your reroll mechanics, like clearance sweep is awful. It's terrible. It's horrible. Don't use it. It's better to just CP reroll.
It seemed like it was pretty much only meant to pair with the hot shot volley, and that's really it.
Well,
There's
because
a little synergy there, but otherwise, yeah.
It's like your enemy needs to be
has some
within
more
5
play, I
inches,
think,
and
on,
you
like-
need to be within 5 inches. So it's like if you get a dense cluster that is like in one small area, the only way you're going to get like multiple shots is if your opponent has banked and put like a bunch of stuff in one small area, and you did also, and you like made that choice in deployment, and you both went down the same lane. Then maybe you'll get like 2 shots in the clearance sweep. Otherwise, like maybe you'll get 1, and if you lost initiative and used clearance sweep, maybe they just kill your only eligible shooter first, and then like tie everyone else up in melee, and you're just like, well, that was useless.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
definitely
Why
a
am I-
thing that makes
why am I
some
playing
amount of
this
sense
scene?
on Gallowdark. Well, I mean, you're playing it because you are masochist, because they have not done particularly well with the changeover from the data slate. They're doing better, like they're at a 50% considering they were like a 20-30% win rate before, but 50% the last 2 weeks is not really too much of a change.
They're literally just the only other team I have painted and ready to play at the moment. You know, like I said, queued up Grey Knights one of these days, maybe. No, not likely.
I mean, look, they need a rescale at some point, so I wouldn't be the most surprised if they showed up. And it would be kind of cool to get new Grey Knights, and I'm sure people are frothing at the mouth, especially with classification coming around.
I need
the corner.
something. So that's what I was going to ask, right? So I mean, I love Corsairs, I love Phobos, but
That's
both
true.
of those are on the chopping block, right? So I mean, what does that mean? So I mean, you guys tell me though. So you know, here in the smaller scene, New Jersey, we're kind of like queued up to basically say classification means nothing to us, as long as there is some semblance of balance and presence on the data slates for those teams. Then really, you know, yeah, what does it mean? I mean, there are certainly some guys that we play with who are looking to go to Worlds and things like that, so they need to be prepared if a team that they want to play isn't eligible there. But otherwise, yeah, I'm not sure what it's going to mean yet. I don't know what if you guys have thought about it so far in your local games.
I think, you know, locally in the New York scene, we'll probably try a couple tournaments on classification. I probably wouldn't expect that for new players. I would hold it for, you know, like a monthly tournament, like come play with whatever you have, just because it's probably the more important thing. But for any of the larger things that I end up having to touch base on, you know, ACO or, you know, for the New York Open or any of the larger tournaments that I, you know, work with GW on, we probably are just going to have it be classified. I think it makes things a little bit easier for tournament organizers to make sure they know 100% of the rules. 28 teams is probably a little bit easier to manage than, you know, somewhere like 40 odd teams. So
well, does that first round of declassified actually hit before your NYO date?
We honestly don't know. I think there's a lot of question marks on what classification on the GW side is really going to look like. I think if they do it early October, then New York Open is mid-October, so we'd probably be a classified tournament. And I kind of would prefer it if people are going to use it as the last chance to get to Worlds. But I do think locally, as long as they continue to touch things and people continue to play them, maybe it'll be fine. This will be our first real vision of what GW intends for this sort of system. And if it ends up being that classification and non-classification gives you about like one more edition's worth of play than 6 years on one team, like it was probably not that big of a deal at the end of the day for me. It is a skirmish game. Skirmish games tend to rotate, I think, a little bit more than an army game, and you could just play the army game afterwards.
This is true. And I mean, to branch out too, but I mean, there's tons of other skirmish games out there to play anyway, right? I know a couple people local, we're starting to dabble into Halo Flashpoint is a fun one right now. So I mean, yeah, you play whatever, right? Skirmish games are nice, bite size. It doesn't hurt to branch out once in a while if just no team is really there for you at the moment. Kill team, but not that the options are short, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different games right now. I happen to really enjoy Kill Team, and playing all the different kinds of teams in the 40k verse definitely is pretty fun. You know, they all feel very different. Kasrkin definitely give you a special ops feel when you are able to get it going, but otherwise you are a normal human in a world of horrifying superhuman monstrosities.
Yeah. Yeah. Rattlings caught my eye. I might have to pick those up at some point. I think I like the way they look.
Yeah, Rattlings seem like pretty good. You can play. I think they are actually playable without the big Ogrins and Bulgrins and stuff like that. Although, I mean,
Oh.
if you're gonna play them competitively, you definitely want those. But just dipping your toes in the team, I think they are better than people would expect, even without the big guys.
Fair enough.
So, I wanted to hop on and talk to you a little bit about the Jersey scene, just because back in the day when the New York scene started way back, Jersey was the other scene. We kind of rotated around each other. Obviously, New York's got a couple more people floating around in the big cities, so it's easier to get things going regularly. But the New Jersey scene has been growing pretty regularly, I think, and now with the new edition, it's been pretty good. You want to tell us a little bit about how it's been going?
I mean, look, it's definitely a little more spread out and tough to pin people down. You have the population density going for you even more than we do, right? So there's some people playing up in way up North Jersey at Rogue State. Seems to be a popular spot. One of our guys, Byron, runs a league up there monthly as well. So a lot of new players, constantly introducing new people to the game. So that's a nice hot spot. Central Jersey, kind of where I'm around. Gilded Raven in Somerset, Red Seal Gaming over in Matawan, other kind of the big spots. We've got upwards of 50 guys, I think, now in our skill team Discord that are pretty regularly active. We just wrapped up. I think it's like a 3-month long league format that we did with about 14 guys, just keeping people regular play. Some people playing to kind of train to go toward ACO and NYO and whatnot. Other guys just there to have fun, test out new teams. So yeah, the scene's definitely alive and healthy. We have a big one coming up. We just got kind of paired with this group Wicked Events from up in the Boston area. So they're going to be throwing a summer slaughter in Piscataway, New Jersey, August 16th and 17th weekend. Age of Sigmar, 40K, you name it, every game system possible. But our group is going to be running a 32-player kill team GT there that weekend. So I'll get you guys the flyer and the QR code and stuff so you can let everybody know. But definitely want to get some players out there. Going to have a lot of prize support. It's supposed to be a big party kind of event. Like I said, lots of game systems. So it should be very exciting. Very exciting. Jersey definitely alive and well, I would say.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a couple different stores. I know that one of the World Championship of Warhammer players who made top 16 is up in North Jersey, Matt W. He was on Plague Marines, I think, at Worlds, so he's floating around up there. We got all sorts of players at a bunch of different stores, but kind of unifying everyone has always been the hard thing, especially in the burbs, basically, where everyone's got a car.
Yeah. The weekly league format that we're trying, I think, is getting people a little more involved. We say, hey, you pick what store you want to play at. We'll schedule games between people as long as you log a game every 2 weeks, I think was the time frame we were shooting for. And then, build up points, make some friends, meet some new people, try out some different shops maybe you haven't been to. But it's been going very well. A lot of new guys. The edition is definitely going strong. I think they really streamlined the rule set from KT21. I'm sure we all have our complaints and things and the fun Discord rules debates on what does a ladder actually do for you. But no, a lot of people playing the game, and it's very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jersey's got a preponderance of different scenes, and it sounds like weekly leagues have been doing a lot of work for you. What were you doing before that you felt like wasn't maybe working out as well, or is it just kind of like this league format has been stuck for a little bit and it's worked well? Because I'm sure, a lot of people listen to the podcast, and for anyone who's a TO or trying to pick up their scene, we've done, I think, bi-weekly leagues. It's also what we're doing in New York, where every 2 weeks you get a matchup, play a game. There's a couple places to play, so as long as you get the game in, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, that's really the crux of it right there, right? Because the spread of the shops for us creates the situation where getting 16 people to come out to an event, whether it's once a month or every other month, sometimes you have only 8, 10, 12 guys who are willing to come out to, let's say, out in Flemington for that Saturday, but a couple guys who would have liked to come just live a little too far away. It's challenging. It's challenging to get everybody together. We've still thrown a couple events this year where we've got 16 players in a shop for a Saturday. But yeah, scheduling that has kind of gotten a little bit tough. Maybe it's just the summer. Sometimes people are not looking to play tabletop games over the summer, and they're busy going to the beach, right? So that could be some of it. I think maybe there you go. The league format can help and give people just the extra flexibility to get their games in and still have a good time. We actually did still log this league through BCP as well, so people can still score some points and feel good about getting their games in.
Yeah, that's cool. The way we do the leagues over here is everyone gets all of your matches for the entire league at the very beginning. So I have like 4 people that I need to play in like 8 or 10 weeks or whatever it is. And yeah, it's just I have a list, and then we have a Slack or a channel in the Discord, and then people just ping each other there. And then seeing all the activity kind of inspires other people to go be like, oh yeah, I should schedule my games. And then
but your matches were predetermined though before, like, at the start. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we had like something like 16 people sign up for the league, and yeah, so I've played like one of them, and I'm planning probably like next week I might just try to get my remaining 3 done all in the same week.
Just knock them out.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. Yeah. We're changing the format this next style too. We just did Swiss the last time and kind of treated it like a spread out tournament. This one, so we're now going to pair first and last place from season 1 as a team, and we're going to try this team format where just get people working together. Maybe it helps some of the guys who didn't do so hot in the first round get a little training from the upper guys. Whether it's just tips and tricks their own team, maybe there's something play style, but we're trying to see if that kind of shakes things up a little bit. I know you guys.
Cool league format. You guys are actually playing like doubles games in the league?
No. The games were not going to be doubles games. It's just kind of like you and your teammates' points are cumulative, so there's incentive to like be helping someone else in their matches. Maybe like go out and mentor them in the game or what have you. So, because I mean, again, we started this not as the most hyper competitive league either, right? It was just, hey guys, you want to get your games in, right? It makes people feel this extra drive to get out to the shop and play their game instead of maybe it's 3-4 weeks like, oh man, I haven't played in a kill team recently, right? This kind of keeps that incentive rolling. So some of these guys just want to go out and have a good time and roll some dice with a buddy, but no harm in getting a little better and learning from some guys who won a few more matches than you. We've also implemented voluntary chess clocks to help people a little bit, just to see what your timing looks like. It's not to penalize anybody in the gameplay, but it's a good feeling for players if they know they can come out to a Saturday event and that they're not going to drag things along or keep another player from finishing their game because they're just not used to how to get a game in that 2 hours. Or we've sometimes stretched to 2.5 depending on the turnout for an event, but just incentive again to help people kind of get that flow of the game a little better.
I mean, meanwhile, Jason's out here on our Just Another Kill Team Discord talking about wanting 90-minute rounds, which, in my experience is a little short, even for people who are semi-experienced. Once you're going to like 10, 12 operative teams, it does tend to drag a little bit more. Obviously, Space Marine players and very well-practiced Phobos players probably don't have as many issues with the time.
I play hyper fast sometimes. I'm just like, okay, just go, whatever. Just go with your gut, move the next guy, keep it rolling. But man, 90-minute rounds.
I mean, on that note, for things that you've been playing this edition that you feel like have been working pretty well, you were talking about Corsair Voids Guard. It didn't really click with you. What about the new Corsair Voids Guard didn't really click with you on this edition, and where has Phobos kind of switched it up for you?
Well, to tie the two together, I would say the contrasting difference is the warriors, right? Corsair warriors to me feel utterly useless. So the list building is very boring. I take the same 9 operatives every time. I don't even think I really change my heavy gunner and gunner selection. I'm sure there's some debate there. To me, the math slightly favors taking the blaster and the shuriken cannon for more overall dice, keeps your AP2 more mobile. But then really, to me, there's no decision making after that. And team kind of just The ploys also, to me, just don't really feel as useful. They're extremely niche. Like, maybe there's a scenario where you end up spending 2-3 CP because there's a bunch of things that all happen, but otherwise they just kind of sit there. It's all about the individually strong operatives, and they're all fun. I love them. I love Corsairs still, but didn't click. Phobos, meanwhile, I mean, all the ploys feel very fun, very engaging. And man, you mentioned before, Jason, about sometimes you don't need the 3 APL. Man, Phobos, I'm loving the 4 APL. Give me that warrior, give me that free mission action all day long. So
Yeah,
I'm
Phobos
running
are
2
like the
warriors
best
almost
elite
every.
specifically because they do 4 APL well, and like they do 3 APL well, and like with only 6 bodies, you need 3 APL all the time. Kasrkin can kind of spread it out a little bit and get away with 10 operatives each doing 2 APL rather than using your comms to spread it out to 3 APL, because it's like, if all I'm going to do is push a button and shoot anyways, I don't need that. But Phobos, they're going to run in, plant a beacon, double shoot you, all sorts
Hell
of
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I would probably liken the differences between the team for anyone who's not really played them or seeing them for the first time. Corsair Voids Guard are very much a toolbox team where individual operatives will very much overperform in niche situations. So you've got your warp jumper who can get into spots your opponent really doesn't like, and on In the Dark can cheat, basically, which is always fun. And then you've got operatives like the Kurnothi Hunter who can go ahead of people, or Falchu, the one with the bird. I think that's
Yeah.
that's
That's
Kurnothi
the
Hunter, right?
That's the hunter. Yep.
Yeah. Basically, it goes ahead of your opponent, so it can range ahead of the rest of your force, go in front of your opponent if it's the forward operative, or if you have the initiative, you go and chip someone off. And then you've also got the double parrying sword guy who can also do that. So you've got a couple operatives that all do individual things, and then your ploys back up very niche situation. You were saying, like, one of the best ones is Deadly Ambush, where you can flip from concealed to engage and jump on top of someone. Better on In the Dark, better on Volcus, especially if you're guarding doors, and there's a couple of niche situations
Travis.
compared to something like
That ploy does not exist anymore, sir.
oh you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I
Don't
totally forgot that one's gone. I'm
tease me.
gaslighting people. That's
Don't tease me with old rules. They took away my best play.
That's true. And then compared to Phobos are very much, everyone is either the same or good in very different ways, but you have a little bit more choice on what they're going to do. Because Corsairs are very much, this operative is going to do this thing, and you can take more warriors and you can take more infiltrators, and depending on how you set up your team on Phobos, the overall flow of the game will change pretty drastically, I think. Like infiltrator skews versus reaver skews versus incursor skews will all look at boards and opponents very differently compared to Corsair Voids card, where every game, it's where your operatives are in position rather than everything changes because you make interesting decisions up front.
They also break the game. I mean, I think being able to go back to conceal is. I was a little upset at the start of this edition that it was going to cost a CP to like enable Gorilla. I was like, why it felt a little like they were stripping something out of the team. But I'll pay 1 CP for that and all day long.
I mean, they gave the ability for the box breaker to omni scramble out of visibility, which is probably a bigger change.
Also very good. Yeah,
a worthy sacrifice for guerrilla warfare going.
I'll take it.
Strategic canvas.
I mean, it's really it still makes Turning Point 2 an absolutely broken interaction for Phobos, right? Everyone starts to go engage that round, and you're just like, I'm gonna shoot you. I'm gonna go back to conceal. You're not gonna shoot me. And going into Turning Point 3, all of your operatives are now either chipped down or I've killed a few, and even the numbers, and it's not gonna look good when you have to now double fight Reavers coming in your face.
How's your experience been being one of the more experienced players, trying to bring up a new scene as a Phobos player, which is a team that you just now mentioned, going into turn 2, your opponent's probably very frustrated when you get to shoot them and they don't get to shoot you. How has that experience been as like the more experienced player trying to teach people how to play the game when your team is not interacting with the game in very much the same way as your opponents?
I guess that's a very fair point, and maybe I have beat up some newer guys with that mechanic. No, I mean, hopefully it's always a bit of a learning process, right? If they're playing a team like that, and I'd say anytime I'm facing a newer player, everything we're doing is in good faith. I'm going to call out things that I'm doing as they're happening, so they're clear on an interaction or something I'm trying to set up, so there's no real gotcha to it. But I think the exposure for them to play against a team like that's kind of really bending the rules in a nasty way, in essence, I think can set them up for success against a lot of other teams where they don't have to now think about that. So they're going to learn to play it a little extra cagey and a little extra cautious, thinking, okay, what if this could happen? And then all of a sudden it's a pleasant surprise when their team is just on engage and available to be shot.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation when players have to learn that doing the most aggressive thing is not going to generally get you the best results. It's always Warhammer 40k players are very much about getting into melee and scrapping it up, but sometimes you do have to creep into range, or you could be Jason and just make your opponent come for it.
I mean, at least we got kill grade in KT24, right? I think I've had my most success just playing confirm kill, primary kill op, just going for blood.
It's a good combo.
Duking
It's a
it
good
out.
way to play.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I still like playing Beacon sometimes on Volcus. Phobos and Corsairs both do it pretty well, but it does make the game a little more fun if you're just going for kills, diving in there, rolling a lot of dice. Good times.
Yeah, there's ever been tournaments where you wanted to try to change the base rules, or has most of the tournament just been on GW official terrain with official layouts?
Yeah, we've done only official layouts for Volcus. There was a little discussion, I think it was pre-FAQ, about how to deal with the third floor. So we almost banned the third floor, I think, back in an event in January. Mm-hmm. But we did not. We said, okay, let's just let it happen and see. And we didn't have any weird interactions that day, so it worked out just fine. We have started trying the asymmetrical layouts for ITD and some with the blown out walls that we've seen around, just to kind of shake things up on those maps. I know there's been a lot of discussion in our local scene about some new changes to Beta Decima and how to kind of start playing with that. Seen a couple discussions going on, because I mean, I think it's kind of sad that it still gets shuffled away and never considered. I've actually yet to ever play a game on the terrain set, because every time it comes up, either the person just says, oh, no, I'm not playing Beta Decima, or they've already sold the terrain set because they were convinced it was trash and don't want to play it. So it's been very difficult, but I have seen a lot of discussion lately about specifically adding, I guess, a couple bait crates and barrels and things to shore up some of the interactions around the board and give it a little bit of life. So I hope to see that one start to shine a little bit. And the goal is that for Summer Slaughter, because we're going to have 32 players and hence a lot of tables to cover, that we were going to try to split it evenly between Volcus, ITD, and Beta Decima.
Oh, interesting.
We're still a couple months out to see. Yeah. We're still a couple months out to see if, again, some of the testing looks good on BD there, but we might try it.
I mean, you guys should send some people out to ACO and get some experience on the Beta Decima maps that Will is scrounging up.
I think we have at least 4 or 5 guys coming down ACO. So
nice. Yeah,
they'll be there.
From what I understand, the map packet is going to be up pretty soon. So for anyone who has joined us, a couple weeks past our Is Beta Decima playable podcast, the PDFs for ACO are going to be up relatively soon, at least on what those Beta Decima maps are going to be like. So, I mean, you'll get a chance to take a look at them too, Matt, and hopefully
you guys really did just
run.
You guys just did a whole episode about this.
A couple weeks ago, we had basically we've been teasing. Yeah, we've been teasing that the New England group has been playing Beta Decima. I think it's like Australia and and New England are the two regions that played Beta Decima longer than the first couple weeks, basically. And then we tried at the New York Open. Hey everybody, here doing our own little personal ad read for our respective tournaments. The New York Open, October 18-19, one of the last golden tickets before the actual World Championships of Warhammer. And Jason's got the Renegade Open.
Renegade Open hopping in right after that, which is going to be maybe the first golden ticket event for the 2026 season in just outside of Minneapolis, pretty close to the airport, November 22 and 23 with a golden ticket.
Yeah, tickets are up on sale now at ny-open.com, and Renegade Open, you'll get tickets up when you get them up. And links will be in the show notes when it goes up.
Hope to see you there.
I wasn't even, for the New York Open, we were just like, well, it's the new edition. Let's just give it a try and see how people feel about it. Obviously, that was when Warp Coven were at their most broken. So if you played Warp Coven on Beta Decima, it was just an auto loss, especially when the Sorcerer is in the back, able to shoot you, flip back to conceal, ball on Relentless behind a heavy barricade, and then the teleporting Sorcerer is on the soup can, able to teleport, attack you, and then rewind back on top of the building. So it was a little bit of a nightmare.
It's probably more of a Warp Coven problem than it was a Beta Decima problem, honestly.
It probably was more Warp Coven, but certainly Beta Decima exacerbated those issues because there's nowhere for any of those teams to set up to even like start the game because like, oh, I can't go any of those places. And to be fair, Warp Coven probably still good on Beta Decima. They have teleport, they have rewind, they can still shoot you through light terrain, which is still most of the terrain. So it's not like it's gone away. So we'll see how ACO goes. I think right now they're at half capacity. So for anyone who's listening and wants to do a 3-way team tournament, William is going to have the PDFs for Beta Decima up, and I think everything else will just be normal GW maps. So they'll be up pretty soon, and hopefully we'll have links in our show notes when those come up.
No Octarius or Chalnath experimentation or that anymore, though? Is that kind of just stay casual for you guys? You'll plan on using any of that?
We've done Octarius locally in the New York area. I think my issue with Octarius, even at the end of last edition, is that there wasn't quite enough terrain in one box for me to really feel like you can make maps that felt particularly interesting. There's only a couple places to stage. You're either at the midboard on an objective, or you were like at home not doing anything. So I don't really love how the terrain density anyways. Volcus maybe swings a little bit too far and having too much heavy. So we've tried it a couple times. I know people play it in the casual games for the leagues and on the Thursday kill team nights in New York, but I have not tried to really push it, considering that Volcus looks nice, plays reasonably well, and people kind of like it. I have started switching up the Volcus terrain sets so that they all are at like non-right angles, just to make things a little bit more interesting. Although I will note that a couple players I've walked by those games and they're getting attacked on turn 1 because they walked into a spot, thought they had cover, but had not fully played with how cover lines work and get shot from an angle they weren't expecting. So win some, you lose some when it comes to changing the boards.
I like that idea, though, just pivoting some of the layouts, like turning terrain 45 degrees a little bit and messing with that. That seems like a fair approach. I agree. I mean, I like Volcus a lot. It does trend a little bit on the heavy side, so I know I've stressed to a couple opponents over the last many weeks, don't send your guy up to the 3rd floor. Like, I'm against you as Phobos. I'm telling him, like, just don't do it. You're going to send your guy all up there. He's going to stand there. I'm never going to give him a clear shot. And then you're going to need him to come down and tap an objective later. And you're going to go, oh shit, I can't get him down fast enough. It's like, just don't do it. There's heavy cover everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure somebody gets value there, right? But it's
the teams that have a couple more operatives to throw away. Like if you're playing Deathcore of Krieg, you can afford to throw a single sniper up there who has oversight, and then as your scrubs go out to go do things at the end of turning point 2 instead of the beginning of turning point 2, you have the ability to force your opponent to keep their head down, or if they're going to interact with one of your operatives, you can take a good shot and stay concealed. But for the elite teams, or for, the elf teams that don't really have enough operatives, like, should a Death Jester really be going up there when you only have 7 other elves to go touch things? Maybe not.
For elites, like the only team that does it well is the Reaver with the bolt carbine, because you can just grab and launch up there and then grab shoot down when you're done. And if you pop up there and shoot someone and then flip back to conceal, and then if there are shots, you can shoot twice and flip back to conceal. And like at that point, you load the special rounds and you're accurate to balanced piercing. You're gonna be just like ripping people to shreds.
Yeah, I agree. I did that once, and then I was like, I can't do this again in a casual setting. It felt too bad.
Yeah, pretty gnarly.
Balancing act.
Yeah, I'm looking at, like, I dug out all my old terrain from 2nd edition. Like, I've got Morok and Chalnath and Octarius, and I think that's it for me. But I'm probably gonna just like noodle around and throw a couple extra pieces in here and there and try to come up with some stuff. And for the monthly tournaments that I'm doing, use some of that stuff just to kind of do something fresh and interesting, and probably like pick up some extra terrain kits as we go along if the monthly tournaments are going well. And but yeah, for now I think like a little bit of crazy terrain with the older terrain, just kind of like, because I have a bunch of terrain and I like single-handedly probably have enough for like 12 or 14 players or something if I just use all the old stuff, and I think that'll be fun and fine.
Morok might play nicely now with new obscurity rules, right? I mean, I don't know.
Having tried it, I
Shaking
thought it
your
was fine. I don't love the giant bunker. It just makes the gameplay weird, even with like extra ladders and stuff. It's not the worst, but we didn't use the antenna rules, so the problem is some of these old terrain sets had some intention around some of the weird pieces, like the smoke smacks on Nakmund. And for all the new players joining us from third edition who have no idea what I'm talking about, back in the day, terrain sets used to come with extra rules for those terrain sets. Like right now, we're getting add-ons to one set of terrain for Volcus, and on In the Dark, we used to get pieces added on. Most people don't even know what these pieces are. Like it's been relegated basically to the Necromundo players and players
Bring
who
back
collect
the smog
terrain.
cloud, Travis. Bring back the smog clouds.
Hey, look, if you're the tournament organizer and you want to play an old head edition of Kill Team and add in the rules from before, smoke is just obscurity. It's not that hard of a concept to add in, right? So like you can reverse engineer the current day rules onto the old terrain with the old ideas. Like that old antenna tower on Morok used to effectively have what we current like only one person could go up there to interact with it. Now you could just say it has like the Volcus rule where two people can enter, one person leaves, and just reverse engineer most of the rules and probably make it work. It's just whether or not people would want to play on it. I think if you were a TO and you wanted to do that, it would behoove you to basically have printouts for like, this is how this terrain
This would
set
be
works.
yeah. I mean, look, we would announce it in advance and be like, hey, this would be a declassified teams only old rules. Like something meant to be, hey, we're having a good time, right? But you're right, the rules all existed. I mean, I think the Nemesis Claw, poison on the objective is basically like what the toxic cloud rule was for some of that terrain in the oldest, right? I think it was basically
also had toxic clouds.
right. I think it was like the same thing. So yeah, it's at the end of the day, right? It's just about some damage mechanic and some certain modifier, and yeah, could be a very fun idea.
Yeah, I think the core issue for a lot of those older terrain sets is as that last edition of Kill Team walked forward through all the different rules, it's very clear that Octarius was kind of the best terrain for actual play patterns, just because it felt like it had enough heavy, it felt like you were able to get around. Now with only 3 objectives, now Octarius feels like there's not enough going on. So it's an interesting kind of like back and forth on where the current core rules sit versus where the terrain sets sit.
The 3 objectives seemed pretty controversial at one point. People were a little concerned.
Look, I'm looking forward to the day when we go back to 5 objectives, so that the Horde teams have some more legs to stand on. But for now, as long as we're at 3 objectives, the elites and the elves definitely have some more advantages, just because they don't really have to sacrifice nearly as much to stay at parity with the wider teams.
Yeah, but aren't there some? I don't know what the top of the meta actually looks like right now, but aren't there a few teams up there that are Horde-esque, or Sanctifiers now, or they're just winning for other reasons, not for.
I think it's interesting. As much as Sanctifiers were the boogeyman, they have not done particularly. They've not like swung that hard. I think the big nerf to them definitely trimmed off a lot of that initial power level, and they do have bad matchups and bad boards. So one of the cool things, for Kill Team, and part of the reason why I think we're all in it, is you get to experience the Warhammer 40k universe in universe with your guys, and turns out having a dude yell through the hallways is not the same as thundering through the halls of like an alleyway as like the voice echoes in the background and your boss is like, go forth and destroy chaos. But on In the Dark, you can't really hear him as well, or you're stuck in like a tiny cramped box and then the Space Marine shows up and suddenly all hell breaks loose. There's just really that vibe of the Sanctifiers are good on Volcus and they'd be cracked on Octarius, but they're not that great on a spaceship because they probably don't know how they got on the spaceship to begin with. Is a great vibe.
Fair. And I guess I was wrong. I quick pulled up a little meta snapshot here, and wow, I did not realize Plague Marines were still cranking.
I mean, look, any of the Space Marine teams they're both good right now because the rules kind of favor 3 APL and the ability to double shoot, double fight, and the objectives help. And also, people like Space Marines. So whenever those Grey Knights show up, I know you're going to be back on it.
I've got a full 40k army of Grey Knights just waiting. Trust me.
Yeah,
and somehow the new Kill Team models will stop. Be like, oh, nope, need those 2.
Oh yeah, the new models are probably going to be super sick, assuming that they will come. I feel like Phobos is going to leave a giant hole when they go away, and Grey Knights would be an awesome choice to fill it. Especially like if for anyone that hasn't seen the old Grey Knight kits, like the infantry box can make like 3 different units. There's like the regular troopers, there's the teleporty dudes, and there's the heavy weapon gunners. And like that's kind of has the same energy as Phobos, where you have 3 different types, and if you can mix and match with as much flexibility as Phobos, it would be like another list building Space Marine team, and I think that would be super cool. But we'll see.
I've not thought about that. I've not thought about that take on how to build the Grey Knights team within the one box set. That would be interesting.
Yeah, you could have like the melee guys, the gunner guys, and then the fire guys all kind of like mixed up in the same squad.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
Like the teleporting.
Also, I
and
mean,
stuff.
those sculpts do need like a rescaling because I think they're very much. I love the Grey Knight vibes. Like they were one of the first teams that I kind of got me interested in 40k way back in the day, just because I got like a gift of a random Grey Knight and he just looks cool. But the scale hasn't really changed on the basic guys. They're just teeny tiny firstborns. So getting them upscaled would be really nice. And getting a kill team for them at the same time would also be sick. Unfortunately, from my experience watching Kill Team, when those Black Templars got really released, when they had the neophytes and the big guys following them around, that would have also been a sick kill team, and that never really materialized.
That's
So
true.
I don't really know if the GW range refreshes ever really match up with Kill Team, but it would be really cool if Grey Knights get a rescale and we got something for Kill Team at the same time. But you know,
Right,
you
I mean, what are the
build
leaks?
a Phobos
What are the leaks?
team.
Come on, you tell me. You tell me what's coming next. What's coming? What's that next box? You
Well, I
guys
mean,
got
they
some
said
juicy rumors?
The next
demons
box is
and
Typhon.
yeah, they said demons and Grey Knights way back in the day on Valorant.
Yeah, I know,
But I think it ended up becoming Goremongers and Sanctifiers. When I was like,
Yep,
if I squint
yep.
really hard, Grey
Yeah.
Knights are ecclesiarchal adjacent, so maybe that's what happened. And then they saw the Goremonger guy with the Blood Herald who looked like a demon. They're like, oh, it's a demon, clearly. So whatever the validity of those those things, it didn't really pan out. But when I saw the last box, I was like, maybe that was supposed to be Grey Knights versus demons.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
But
at
it
least
did
we're getting big bad Tyranids soon with, AdMech dorks.
alienating all your AdMech fans out there.
Oh, all 2 of them, and like the biggest one is in Australia, and he built Goremongers recently.
That was actually
built
the first Warhammer box I got was a box of the AdMech. Oh shit, the Rangers, Skitarii Rangers, right? Took me. I was like, oh my god, how do I build these little spindly things? Like, never mind. I went and I got a box of Grey Knights.
Yeah, I love my Hunter Clade back in the day. It's just, they haven't been good for a little bit. And even now, even after the most recent change, they still kind of are languishing. So definitely in a weird spot. Hopefully Battle Clade is going to be a much stronger team in the meta. I don't really know how you're going to make a bunch of servitors really stand out when you've got people running around with cybernetic legs and gigantic chain axes, but who knows? Maybe a dose of heavy weaponry and arc rifles and, all sorts of weird AdMech shenanigans are going to take the day.
Yeah, could be some sort of damage shrug or something, maybe just to help them. They're not feeling the pain literally as they trudge forward.
I mean, they are cybernetics, like they're all cyborgs and cybernetics in Kill Team ostensibly are mostly on feel no pain ranges, so they could have a feel no pain. Yep. And that would make some amount of sense. You've got the Death Corps of Krieg hardened guardsman who's got the 5-up shrug. You've got all sorts of random robot people with extra wounds and better saves. So maybe they'll have a 3-up save. Who knows?
True. You mentioned before, like Phobos leaving a hole when they go away, though. What are your thoughts on teams like Phobos that are a very main staple in the GW model range? That team going declassified and leaving Kill Team. I mean, does GW just let Phobos leave Kill Team? Or do you think that's an opportunity for them to basically relaunch the team with a couple other models? Like, did they bring the Phobos Librarian in? Do they just kind of give us a new Phobos twist? Do you think something like that's possible?
That would be super cool. And like, Death Corps, I feel like is another one that's kind of like a staple. Where they could just be like, here's a refresh. Some of these rules are pretty, like, you can tell it was the first team they launched. So if they just clean it up and it works for the same models, and like you said with Phobos, just like clean it up a little bit and launch it again. That'd be pretty cool.
Like Death Corps is a great example because it could be same models, but same models plus that whole range, the Krieg range, they've come out with a lot of cool commander models and things that go along with them. So they could just relaunch the team and say, instead of now this 14-man horde team, hey, it's going to be 10, right? But you also get some captain or some I don't know what the guard.
They've done a similar thing in Underworlds where they've re-released, as a value kit, 4 separate teams in one box. I doubt it would do that in Kill Team, but I could imagine them at some point going back into the archives, picking a pair of teams that didn't go together originally and putting them together as like a value box. That could be a cool way to reprint, Commandos when they feel the need to pull the Green Tide box. You put like Commandos against Phobos, like a new version of Phobos, as a box team and send them off into the world.
Yeah, and like we had Angels of Death, or the original version, Intercession was just launched as like a free PDF online. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that'd be like an easy peasy way to refresh a team like Phobos.
The options are pretty much endless when it comes to the 40K verse stuff, though, right? So
yeah, so it's really, we really don't know, and I would like to see some rumors around that, but all the rumors are just around models, and I want to know what the upcoming business plan is.
Rampant speculation. That's what we're here for.
Rampant speculation. Yeah. Or like when Angels of Death expire, maybe they'll be like, here's a brand new Space Marine kill team that is like all the data sheets from Angels of Death and Phobos in one faction, and then you just like have chapter tactics for your faction rules, and then the ploys are all kind of smeared together, and that'd be pretty cool.
Now we're getting creative.
Yeah. I mean, for the players who are new when they're coming into your scene, I'm sure this is a question that other TOs have to grapple with. Do you tell them that classification is coming? Do you try to like steer people away from, like Phobos, as much as Phobos is this huge part of the game that's been doing very well in tournaments? Do you try to like steer them onto Angels of Death or Plague Marines, or a team that is going to last a little bit longer as far as like the rules go? Or are you more on the vibes are good, you think this is cool, build these, paint these, we'll play with them, and we'll deal with it later?
100% the latter. It's all about the vibe. I mean, let someone get in and paint and play the thing they think is the absolute coolest, right? Get them involved, and you gotta really like speak to people, what people want to be playing as, what they feel on the tabletop. You mentioned before about the Sanctifiers and what it's like to have that power fantasy on the table, right? You want to play with your guys. So we talked about earlier about having maybe declassified only events. At this point, yeah, if a new player wants to play a team from season 1, we're all for it. There'll be opportunities for them to grow and expand beyond that. I'm not too worried about it.
You mentioned that you have a couple players doing different things in the scene. Byron is also one of the old OG Kill Team people floating around out there. He's doing a league at a separate store compared to you.
Yes, up at Rogue State. It happens to be just a little far. I think it's like almost a 2-hour drive for me to get up there. New Jersey's deceptively large. But yeah, he's up there. Another guy, David DeCamp, I think you've met him before. He's starting a pretty big scene over at Red Seal Gaming in Matawan. So next month he's having an all new players event, very similar to the Community Day event that you were a part of 2 years ago now. Time flies. I mean, some of the guys that we're playing with now were people who played for their first time at that event. I think the first guy who walked in that morning, Brighton, is now definitely one of our most experienced players in our skill team group, teaching new players, winning games. I think he might actually be going down to ACO as well. So, nice. I mean, yeah, you just got to get people into it and, foster a good community, making friends. It's going very well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's like the same advice I would give to anyone who plays a little bit of Kill Team but wants to make a bigger impact. Just be out there at the store every week and make some friends, and sometimes it is a lonely game as a TO, right? I'm sure you've had some of those situations.
It can be, but you know what? I think once you start to grow the group too, like I'm actually not at the store every week. I probably play a game once every other week, but I think once you get a decent core group of people and start those regular games, it's still happening every week, right? Then you don't necessarily need to be the guy who's there and pushing people and making it feel like you're forcing everyone to do something. It just kind of keeps rolling on its own.
Yeah, it's a great point for that consistency in getting to the critical mass. What was your like critical mass locally? As a good target, was it like 12 people, 16 people?
Like per week?
Like just like your overall scene, because I know for me in New York, it took us a little bit before we got to the point where we're doing like 12 or 16 players at every monthly. I think this year we had a resurgence, with the new edition of Kill Team. I think we're up to like 25, 26 players most first Saturdays of every month. So just kind of wondering what the critical mass was that you felt like you could like take a step back and kind of people were playing on their own.
I don't know if there's really a good answer to that, because again, we're so spread out, right? Like I almost never go over to Red Seal, like I was mentioning, where David kind of spearheads things. So I know there's probably 6-8 people playing there weekly. Gilded Raven in Somerset, where I end up mostly nowadays, you got people, maybe 8 guys playing every Wednesday night. So not a huge group, but we're all kind of close enough that when we do organize a Saturday or something like that, especially somewhere centralized, that we can easily hit the 16 mark. Now, Summer Slaughter in August, 32 is going to be a big test for us, trying to get everybody out. But so far, signups are looking good. We're still a few months out, so I'm sure we're actually going to end up getting a few of you guys coming down from New York as well that normally wouldn't necessarily come out for a Saturday, but for a GT in New Jersey, I know you guys like to come flex your muscles and show off the New York pride.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to make it out depending on how bushed I feel after traveling a bunch during the summer. And we'll have a link to that in the show notes for anyone who's interested in getting out to Jersey to go play in a tournament with the other Jersey people, or for the New York people who listen in and want to go play.
Lots of prizes, going to be medals and trophies for the top 3. I think they're giving away Hivestorm boxes as well. So, I forget the name of the newest. I just say Hivestorm by default now, but the box sets. So, yeah, come on out, win some games, make some friends. It's gonna be a good time.
Any other big notes that you want to call out? Local players. I think you called out David and Byron and some of the other stores. If you got anyone else you want to shout out before we head out for the night?
Let's see. Good luck to all my guys heading down to ACO. Paul, Joey, I think another Mike is heading down. So yeah, a couple guys are teaming up. I know George from Vox Scream. Shout out to him. He's hanging out with us a bunch lately. He's going to be heading down to ACO. So good luck to all those guys. Unfortunately, I won't be down. Scheduling conflicts are always a thing nowadays, I guess, right? But even in New Jersey, I'm not making it down to ACO. Shame on me. But I guess I owe you, Travis. I did say I will make it up to a Brooklyn monthly one of these days. I will come back.
To the New York Open, easy.
Okay, easy. Yeah, fair enough. All right, we'll trade you Summer Slaughter for New York Open.
Yeah, you can meet Jason and play against the Phobos Master himself when he's forced off of Phobos.
I feel like we've actually crossed paths at an event in the past, but we'll formalize it next time for sure.
Yeah, I was at the last New York Open, and then I've been to like every Adepticon. I've been to most of all the LVOs lately. It's cool. LVO moving to October, for anyone that hasn't heard, that is devastating. It doesn't work great for me.
Wait, how does that work you said MYO is October as well? And LVO?
October. Like LVO changed without, they didn't consult us because why would they? So they're at the beginning of the month. We're at the middle of the month. So it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is possible to go to both. It's just would be a lot.
Yeah.
Only the most devoted Kill Team players.
I'm sure there's going to be someone that goes to both.
Well, look, New York Open is good because it's New York, which is sick, and Vegas is fine. But hopefully anyone who is curious about the New Jersey scene, we got a little bit more color. We'll have links to all the different shops down there, and hopefully your experiences on Kasrkin are as good as they are on Phobos.
Oh, I hope so. Well, I'll have to come back and I'll chat you up in the future and let you know how it went.
Yeah, you can join us on the Discord.
Will do. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh yeah, thanks for coming on. And as usual, thank you listeners for listening until the end.